my name is Carys and I am a current student at Jerusalem University College. And today we are heading to the Israel Museum and I'm going to show you the top 10 things that you need to at least see before you leave the museum. There is an overwhelming amount of artifacts to look at. It's incredible. They have over 500,000 objects on display. And in the archaeological wings, this spans from the Stone Age all the way through to the medieval Muslim era. So, enough to keep you busy for days and days. But we are going to spend a couple hours and focus on 10 things. I have made this list after personal experience of wandering the Israel Museum and not knowing where to begin. So I've revisited it many times and finally narrowed it down to the top 10 things that you don't want to miss out on. So we are now at the Israel Museum. It doesn't look like it. It looks like I'm in a garden, but that's because there's the amazing Billy Rose Garden, which you don't want to miss. So make sure when you're done inside the actual museum to take a little stroll through the Billy Rose Garden. Okay, but the first thing you have to see when you come here is, of course, the Shrine of the Book. This is the building that holds the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, which were discovered at Qumran in 1946. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the so far oldest found versions of the Hebrew biblical text. The whole shrine of the book is meant to represent one of the jars that the Dead Sea Scrolls would have been found in, so make sure you go in there. You can't take any photos or video inside. When you're inside the shrine of the book, don't forget to see the second thing on my list of 10 things to see, which is the Aleppo Codex. It can be really easy to go around, see the Dead Sea Scrolls on the first floor and leave. But if you go down to the second floor of the shrine of the book, there is the Aleppo Codex, and this is a 10th century Bible, and it's believed to be the oldest completed Bible that has ever been found. So there's various parts of the Bible or parts of the Hebrew text like the Dead Sea Scrolls that have been found, but this Bible was found completed. And so it's interesting to see how old the canon, the biblical canon, is. At least they found one from the 10th century, so that's really cool. So the third thing you need to make sure you see when you're here at the Israel Museum is the Second Temple period model of Jerusalem, which is located right near the Shrine of the Book. It's pretty hard to miss. It's a giant model. It's a reconstruction of what the city looked like before the revolts that started in 66 AD, which then eventually led to the temple being destroyed in 70 AD and Jerusalem being sacked. So it's really cool to see what the city would have looked like before all of that. And what's also interesting is that this model was made in the 60s, before a lot of the archaeological work that has now been done in Israel had even been started or completed. And what we found is that this model is actually really accurate to what now archaeology has confirmed. So it's pretty cool what they were able to do with just the descriptions from Josephus and a few other sources. The fourth thing that you don't want to miss is the art exhibition here inside the museum. I think the Israel Museum is very famous for its archaeological wing, which actually most of my top 10 things on my list come from. But you don't want to miss the art exhibition. The museum presents the largest collection of Jewish art in the world. All right, the fifth thing, it's a very famous and significant find here in Israel. They're called the silver amulets. It's in the archaeological wing. Now, on these silver amulets are the oldest copies of biblical texts known today. They found part of the priestly benediction from Numbers 6, 24 to 26 on these amulets. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he turn his countenance onto you and give you peace. That was found on these tiny little silver amulets that date back to the 6th century BCE. This is 500 years older than the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found at Qumran. Okay, the sixth thing you don't want to miss is right by the silver amulets. It's called the House of David Victory Stelae or the Tel Dan Stelae. And this is a very unique Aramaic inscription from the 9th century BCE. And on this inscription, which was probably written by King Hatzel or his son of Damascus, there is a reference, the earliest known reference to the House of David. Other than this piece, all of the references to David have been textual references and not archaeological references. Okay, the seventh thing you don't want to miss. More recently entered the Israel Museum. It was found in 2017. It's labeled as the Royal Enigma. That's what it's called on the case when you go and find it. But basically it is the head from a statue that is depicting a royal king from the 9th century. It could be King Hatzel of Damascus, this guy's coming up a lot, King Ahab, or a king of Tyre. They don't know which one, but they know it's a Semitic king. It's this really beautiful statue that's painted and shows what a king might have looked like. There's a lot of detail in it, and it made news when it was discovered. It's a really important piece, but it's very small and easy to miss, so just look for a little head that's turning in a glass case. All right, the eighth thing that I think is very interesting to see, it's actually a group of things in the Jesus of Nazareth section of the museum. And especially if you're interested in the life of Jesus, this will be great because they have a ankle bone with a nail through it, and it's the only archaeological evidence of crucifixion that has so far been found. Of course, we have written records and drawings, but this is the only thing that's actually been found to show that crucifixion was a thing archaeologically. And then right by this ankle bone with the nail through it, there is an ossuary with the name of the son of Caiaphas, who is the high priest during the time of Jesus' life. There's also references to Pontius Pilate, who of course played a very significant part in Jesus' story as well. So there's that little section is very interesting. All right, the ninth thing you don't want to miss is this 8th century part of a temple. It's the Holy of Holies. You can see these standing stones in it. They even have ash that was found when they uncovered it, like ash from sacrifices that are still left on top of the pillars. And it has signs of destruction, which is interesting because it dates back to the time of Hezekiah. And in the Bible, we read about how Hezekiah was destroying the high places or the Holy of Holies, the temples that were not in Jerusalem. All right, the 10th and final thing I think you should see before you leave the Israel Museum is the stelae of Tiglath-pileser III. So this is from the Neo-Assyrian period, 745 to 727. A lot of it is destroyed, but there are 2 parts that are original, and it displays the king as a worshiper rather than a conqueror, which is very interesting. Most of the time, the Assyrian kings are displayed getting glory from the people they've conquered. And it's just this really big monument that is in the section of the archaeological wing that is devoted to neighboring countries of Israel. Lots of great stuff from Egypt, Mesopotamia, and beyond. And of course, if you have time, just come back and see everything because it's all interesting. But if you're running low on time, those are at least 10 things you don't want to miss while you're at the Israel Museum. So I hope this video has been helpful and enjoy your trip here.